How's it going, everyone? It is Dragon. We're back with another chapter of Fairy Tail 100 Year Quest. Chapter 123, We're Back. Which honestly, I didn't think we would be back this year, so I thought I was taking the rest of the year off. But yeah, we're back with another chapter, I guess. The cover page for this chapter has Natsu looking like he's ready for a fight, which for the final chapter of the year, I was kind of expecting at least like a New Year's like image or even a Christmas image, because we never even got with the last chapter like a Christmas cover. I like it with Natsu, I don't know, I just think it's a little bit of a missed opportunity because we're in like holidays right now and you could have had a fun little holiday cover. Picking up with the actual chapter, you get Diablos and Fairy Tail going their own separate ways, with Diablos trying to go find Athena and Fairy Tail trying to find the other dragon gods. You get Cylene giving them a goodbye, and you get Gray replying to this, with him telling Cylene to not bother her guildmates too much, which I absolutely love that she had to turn around to Misaki to like confirm with her, like, am I bothering you? I kind of love that they bring up, you know, that she killed their old guild master, which, gosh dang, Diablos is pretty ruthless here, because like she murdered their guild master, and they all like basically jump on the bandwagon of, yeah, he kind of sucked. We all don't like him for our own reasons, and you know, her killing him was a pretty good deal. Which, you know, they just came up with a bunch of these reasons just to make it seem like it was a really good thing that he died. You know, Kieran's like, you know, I didn't like how he was harassing me about my power all the time, and apparently he did sexual harassment. Which you kind of get some final goodbyes here with Cylene saying, you know, come visit us again, and Haiku still hitting on Wendy. I love Gajiel saying this whole event, you know, this is going to be a pretty good story to tell, like especially for setup later in the chapter. And you get Loxus and Kieran being mega rivals still, and they say their final goodbyes and they go their own separate ways. And you even get Elfinsair and Cylene saying their own goodbyes to each other as well. Which then you get Elfinsair going over to Fairy Tail and, you know, asking them like what they're going to do about the 100-year quest right now. And, you know, how they're going to track down these other dragons. And do they have any leads on what to do next? Which Team Fairy Tail says that they don't have any leads, and you know, they're just going to go back to the guild hall to try and form some new leads. And this is the funnest part of the chapter now, because we finally go back to the Fairy Tail guild hall, which is pretty rowdy as ever, which I love Natsu and Happy busting in there, and like they're so excited to be back in the guild hall again. Which you can't enter the guild hall without Mira saying welcome back. And Natsu immediately books it over to Makarov, and he's like, you know, how you doing, master? You haven't died yet, have ya? Which I like that Happy and Natsu just are like debating whether he's gonna turn into like a mummy or a fossil. This chapter in particular makes the whole timing of a 100-year quest kind of crazy, because like I know later on in the chapter they say like they've only been on the 100-year quest for like a month, and even Jet and Droy here like talk about, you know, the whole white mage stuff that happened. That was like only a few days ago, and you would have thought like this whole Cylene arc that we've been on and like the whole Edalus stuff, that would have been like at least a few weeks, but no, like literally it's been a few days. Absolutely love that Lucy is in her like Sorcerer Weekly like interview outfit that she was in like at the very beginning of the Avatar arc. I'm actually like legit surprised she still has that, which we go over to a very excited Juvia. Going over to immediately hug Gray. I absolutely love that this panel has Gray fully clothed on the top of it, then the middle panel took off his jacket, and then the bottom panel like he's fully stripped. Absolutely love that the first thing that Juvia says to him is like, you know, I thought about you too much, to where, you know, Juvia turned into Gray, and Gray's just like, oh gosh, she's going crazy again, not this. And then he's like, oh yeah, that's right, we like swap bodies there for a little bit. And even she's like, oh, does that mean Gray turned into Juvia now as well? which we cut over to Wendy, Regis, and other members of the guild commenting about her height and that she's grown once again, which I like that Regis kind of says to her that it's not so much that she's like physically grown, but she's like grown up little by little. And we go over to Loxus meeting up with the Thunder Legion, and they were extra worried about him because he just straight up disappeared out of nowhere from this last arc. I mean, this is very interesting because, you know, he's holding his hand to where his lacrima used to be, and he tells them all that, you know, he took out his lacrima and, you know, he thought it was the source of his magic power, but he was wrong, and, you know, taking it out was able to show him his true power. We still haven't seen him in a fight since he took it out. I mean, he did fight a little bit with it, you know, out of him, but like, you know, no full-on solo fight since he's had it like fully out yet, you know? I like that at least Bixlo and Freed are like, wow, Loxus, you're so cool, you're so strong because you pulled that thing out and you like still beat up people. Then you got Evergreen like, wait, this whole time you're like Thunder Dragon Slayer magic, that wasn't even your true power. He obviously has like a lightning infinity because, you know, previous members of his family have had that. Kind of interesting what the whole true power thing is. So we go over to Gajeel and Levy, and Levy is scolding Gajeel because she was worried sick about him, and, you know, same problem as Loxus, you know, he just teleported out of nowhere into this last arc. Absolutely love that since, you know, Gajeel's becoming a dad, he had to whip out the dad jokes, saying a God Serene joke to Levy, and she's like, what the heck are you even talking about? And I love that, like, Lily's watching them as well, and he's like, did Gajeel just drop a dad joke? I like the end to their little chapter bit here because she's like, you know, you're going to be a dad, and Gajeel replies, you know, you're going to be a mom as well. I really like their little moment. You know, they hug each other, and, you know, Lily's just like, nice. So you go over to Natsu and Lucy, and Natsu's telling the rest of the guild that Lucy got stuck in a wall, and Lucy's absolutely freaking out that Natsu's trying to say this to the rest of the guild, and some of the guild mates are getting the wrong idea, and Lucy's trying to immediately nip that in the bud. She does not want anyone thinking about that, which I will say, Natsu's standing up for his girl, because he's like, hey, you guys are being a little bit perverted, you know, you better stop that. You know, I was just trying to pull her out and, you know, keep her safe. I wasn't gonna like watch anything, but, you know, I thought it was pretty funny. And you get a few shots at the guild, you know, just having a nice time with them eating, and then Natsu and pretty much everyone else fighting together, and having the guild just be really chill for a little while, which you get Lucy just kind of basking in all of it, you know, saying it's really nice to hear the noises of the guild again, and, you know, that's never boring. You get Urza going over to Master Makarov, you know, saying that they only return temporarily and that they're trying to get some leads on the 5 dragon gods, and, you know, is there a book in the guild's library that they can look at? Which I will say, this is something I've always kind of wondered, because like Makarov was just like, yeah, no, there isn't any. Like, do you know how many times the guild has been destroyed? And, you know, probably those books inside the guild have also been destroyed, which totally makes sense, especially like the last time it fully got destroyed with Tartaros. Like, yeah, they really blew up the guild. I severely doubt those books would have, you know, stayed intact. Which I guess Urza never really fully thought of that, because she's like, oh crap, wow, we have no leads now. And Makarov was just like, wait, hold on, you know, I may have something for you. And we cut away from that conversation, going to Lucy, you know, walking back to her house on the side of the river. And you get a absolutely amazing cameo from the, like, dudes that are always chilling on the boat, talking to her as she's walking along. And Lucy finally arrives back at her house again. She said it's so nice to be back in her own room again, and hopefully that her landlady kept it clean. Kind of interesting, as she's going up the steps to her house, you know, she thinks basically to the end of Fairy Tail. Kind of an interesting thought for Lucy to have. And this is where you probably get the most controversial line of this whole chapter, because she says, you know, it's been a month already since then. Literally, 100-Year Quest has only lasted like a month since the end of Fairy Tail. For me, I at least thought 100-Year Quest was like at least a few months after, you know, the end of Fairy Tail. Like, I didn't think that they were like zooming through this quest. So she goes to open the door to her room, and as she opens the door, she finds Sabretooth, which I did not expect in the slightest, and I didn't think that Sabretooth would be ones to break into Lucy's house. And they're just all chilling on her couch, you know, eating and having a nice time, and they're like, oh yeah, sorry for breaking in, but we're here. Hi. You get Lucy freaking out that, you know, why are you here? And you get Makarov presumably telling Urza that Sabretooth is in town. And that is the end of our chapter. So my thoughts. I really enjoyed this chapter. I thought it was very fun to go back to the guild and get some nice interactions, get some relationship building. I especially like Gajil's dad joke. I think that was pretty fun with him and Levy. We'll say I did not expect Sabretooth to be the type of guild to break into Lucy's house. Kind of interesting that they're here. I wonder if they're going to fully be part of the next arc. They haven't been around in a very long time, so I mean, I wouldn't mind them joining in. I mean, you had 2 Dragon Slayers join up with them in the last arc with, you know, Loxus and Gajil, so you could potentially get 2 brand new Dragon Slayers joining him for this arc with Sting and Rogue. I mean, it could be very interesting because, you know, you have Yukino could team up with Lucy once again. Quite a bit of stuff that really hasn't fully been explored with Celestial Magic, so I mean, you could have more in-depth stuff with that, especially if they teamed up and potentially do a whole Zodiac attack. Please show us what the full Zodiac can finally unleash. Then you could have like Urza team up with like Minerva. Obviously Natsu would probably team up with Sting and Rogue. I wonder why is the reason that Sabretooth is here. Like, why did they decide to show up, and how are they potentially going to have a lead on, you know, where to go next in the 100-Year Quest? I do like that, you know, Fairy Tail and Diablo split up to do their own separate missions, with them hunting down the weapon and them, you know, hunting down the dragons. I love this chapter. I thought it was very fun to be back at the guild again. I really liked all the interactions. I liked the callbacks to things. I guess this is the absolute final video of 2022 now. I'll leave you guys' comments down below. What do you think of the chapter? Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in 2023. And this is Drago, signing out.